Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 of my Magic Book Advanced Tips and Tricks series. In this video, I'll be covering salvaging relics for mats, how to use your recast efficiently, how recasting gets you new items and some strategies behind it, gear synergies, the roles and what they cover, and blessings and some of the very incredibly OP blessings that you can get. So sit back, enjoy the run, and let's get into it. Alright, so we continue where we left off from the last video of my basic tips and tricks. I'm running 2 warrior units in the front for my main melee DPS, 2 cross shields for my main healing. That's the core of my team. I'm going to pick up another healer class here. And then I got an archer and a thief. So the nice thing about having this is by picking up that last unit, I was able to get the 2 bonuses for having the synergies of the priest, or in the demo version right now it's called sacrifice. They are looking to make sure all the translation is the same when the game launches today, or tonight rather. But the priest character does give you certain buffs, and depending on the blessings will interact certain ways. So right now I am using the synchronize to upgrade my weapons. If you get 3 of the same weapon type, you can use it to upgrade. So I'm buying ones that I already have and then storing them. This will be very useful for these early levels when you're not finding upgrades just in the shop. So you'll see I'm buying the green cross shields. I'm still focusing on getting my money and currency up, and at the same time, oh, see, I'm gonna get the 4 greens I need, and now I got a blue shield. Okay, as I was saying, getting your synergies up, getting your money, you need to make sure you keep your gold up, get your cost of upgrading your shop down. A lot of times if you ignore your shop, you'll struggle to have the gear you need for the late game. And I found this is the #1 issue people run into, and the #1 issue I ran into when I first started playing was my gear was falling behind where I was in the run. I just picked up a mission with a 500 gold reward. This is huge. Sometimes it's better not to fish for items and rather just take the really good rewards when they show up. Taking rewards that have the synergy crafting items is useful too. As you'll see, I'll be doing a lot of 2-piece crafting using 3 synergies instead of 6 of the mats. Since if you have 1 duplicate plus when you're upgrading, you only have to pay half the cost to upgrade it. And that is a huge feature that I wish I knew about way sooner when I started. It's like I upgraded those both with just 6 greens, 3 for each, because I had 2 of the base material. I'll smelt that down. That now gives me 3. I can make this into a green bow. Now if I ever get another green bow and 3 green materials, I'll be able to make a purple bow. This was a tough choice. Iron Fist is usually my go-to, just because it boosts the flat stat. Now, one thing I was testing here, putting 2 Iron Fists on the same character does not stack and give you additional buffs. So 1 per character. Do not go above and beyond that. Alright, so now I'm just going to cruise through a bunch of these just to get through the maps. The middle game gets a little bit boring. It's usually just farm as much gold as you can, upgrade your gear where you can. So what I'm doing is I'm picking up cheap green gear here, and I'm going to probably be recasting it. To try to get some blues. Now, I got a mage blue, which I have no mage synergies over there. By putting that 1 mage synergy on, I gave my unit 10% or 15% bonus intelligence, which is huge. By just having 1 piece of that gear, because of the talents I spent, I was able to give myself a flat 15% int boost. So sometimes it's not always best just to put the gear for the class that you're running, but really just try to pay attention to what kind of synergy bonuses you're going to get. Now when you get up a team like that that's silencing you all the time, the nice thing about the cross shield is its healing is not based on a skill cast. It's based on just its basic auto attack heals. And its skill cast is just a full heal, which is also really nice, don't get me wrong. But it makes for great healing ability in those maps where you're being silenced. So now here's where I'm debating it. I can put on another mage piece, get the bonus damage, and I'm not really giving up anything because I'm still didn't really need that priest tier 2 synergy. Now, I can't believe how many of those heals to shield. Okay, blessings. Let's cover this right now. At the start, adds a shield to all allies equal to their health. I have never seen that blessing till this run, but it is crazy strong. And because I got that blessing, I end up pulling away from having a healer and make him a full-on mage. And while this is good for this part of the game, I end up getting rid of my healing staff. And I wish I had held on to it, because once the monsters get strong enough to get through my basic shield, I do end up wanting to switch back to having that healer. Otherwise, they decimate my backlines. And then I end up struggling to find that staff. So it's not always the right idea to just use all the items in your bags to recast and upgrade, but I still managed to get through the run. It's just a mistake that I made that you need to be mindful of. I was one short on the gray. I'll wait until the next round here to do any more synthesizing. So now I'll pick up cheap blues that are like the 240, even if they're not for a class that I need, just because it's good to recast them. One, it lets you unlock new pieces of gear that you may not have come across yet. And two, it's a good way to try to get purples before you've unlocked them in your shop. Like this one. I get the mage purple, and I put that over there. That is a huge increase to my overall damage for my mage in the back there. See, here's one of those rounds I'm talking about. My team is completely silenced, and even without that shield from that blessing, which is OP, I would have been just fine because my cross shields are healing through the silence, the fact that I was silenced. This one, there wasn't any really good choices. None of them really went with the build that I was going for. So I upgrade my shop here. Get another blessing. Then I come across this chick. Strength, extra attack. Really kind of want to put her in my team, but I didn't have the money for it. So I'm going to sell this artifact. And I'm going to throw her in there. I'm going to make her another thief. That gave me an extra guardian and an extra thief synergy by just having her in my team. So even though she's not really going to do a whole lot of damage output, the amount of power and progress she brought to the table was very useful. See, this is where I make my mistake. I ended up recasting. I did get a nice tank gear, which is definitely better than what I had. But I'm going to get those matched up so they're given the bonuses. I'm going to put it on my warrior just because it gives a lot more extra stats than what he had. Now, you see, I got extra gold that round. The thief bonus, every time one of your units uses skills, they have a chance to steal 5 gold. This adds up. It's insanely powerful. And this is the first run I managed to hit it, and I've noticed it lets you stack so much extra gold that you just don't realize it. When you're getting an extra gold, 100 to 200 gold a run, it adds up. An extra target for heals when you have this much melee for the shielder or for the cross shield is amazing. Now again, I'm using my synergy or crafting to upgrade with only 3, as long as I have a duplicate copy. And I found that to be the most efficient way to upgrade your gear in this middle game. Again, picking up those blues that are the 240. Gonna do a recast. Get myself a new warrior weapon. Here I'm gonna go with the ice stone just for some crowd control. Gonna upgrade. Alright, let's see who's got the best attack speed. It is you. Put on an actual shoulder pad for him. Alright, so I'm going to make another purple bow. I'm going to throw that on my thief. And I still gain the extra gold. I was thinking I had 6 and not 3, so I'll have to wait on that one. Alright, now I got my thief dagger up. Do a quick recast. This was another mistake. I figured with the shield and my healing was so good, I didn't need this extra cross shield. I really wish I'd held on to it. Especially when that shoulder piece was definitely not worth the loss. Alright, so for this boss, he is annoying in the fact that he will target your back line and basically just ignores your front line. So not having an actual healer that can heal and shield your back line, they will just end up dying. Overall, this wasn't too much of an issue for me, because once my back line goes out, all my melee are just fine. Alright, we're on to the final act here. We get yet another amazing blessing. Pick up another artifact, some more gear. So now I was going to risk, and it worked and paid off. I got my first orange weapon. It does additional damage to bleeding targets and should make everything scale with the blessings that I've gotten earlier in the run. So if you can get those blessings that does bonus damage to bleeding targets, and you get some of those weapons that cause bleeding, or the relics that are artifacts that give bleeding, they scale and combine really well. So you should consider that when you're picking your weapons and your artifacts. So now at this point in the run, I'm really wanting to switch back to having a cleric or a healer. And I'm just not finding the staff again. On top of that, my ranger is not getting a shoulder piece. So you'll see in a lot of these fights that aren't front attack heavy that my backline is getting decimated. Then after that, the melee just cleans up. Decided to upgrade my shop versus going for the relic. Got my next bow. So now if I get another purple bow, I will have 2 orange bows. Now something I thought about trying here with him was throwing the necklace on him that gives 15% damage but also gives lifesteal, and seeing if that's enough to sustain him. Unfortunately, it is not. He still gets decimated. And this is the first round I lose. So right now I'm thinking to myself, I need to get a healer back. And I need to watch which units I'm fighting against. Because when you get units like this that don't target my backline as heavily or as quickly, I can get quite a bit of damage in. I think I'm going to take the Emerald Snake here to guarantee the poisons. So I'm taking that back off. I'm going to move the attack speed over to the Thief. I'm going to move it so that my range guy is doing all the poison and burn. None of these are really any good upgrades. This is where you really got to watch out the type of units you're fighting against, because as you saw, I totally decimated that team, but other teams will just decimate me depending on the group makeup. So know your weaknesses, know your strengths. I pick up a blue cross shield just so I can switch back, because I'm not feeling the reflect shield. Alright, so I can make 2 of them into orange. So I'm going to go with the Thief and the Warrior. And hold off on the Ranger. See, mage and clerics are typically not a problem. It's rangers that are the ones that typically will target your backlines. So if you're having this issue like I am, you should just be avoiding any units that have rangers in them. Now I know I can still beat them, so I'm typically taking the fight anyways. Now see, when I first saw that, I thought it was Ranger, but it's Resto. It's Cleric. So I move it over to my crappy guy for now until I can find out a way to replace it. But it did give me the first Cleric ability in the synergy tree. There, I finally got my healing staff back. Got my thief shoulders. Those things were amazing. They had 100 more decks than my other shoulders. But now that I have my priest back, I feel pretty confident just fighting whatever comes up. So I took on this warrior rogue team, and while they did crush a couple of my melee, they weren't nearly as much of a problem as I thought they were going to be for an elite team. I took the necklace that gives bonus stats, because flat stats is amazing. It scales so well with the Iron Fist. So I'm going to move the lifesteal over to... I'll do it on another run. We'll just stick to this for now. What I should have done right away was move the lifesteal necklace over to one of the thieves and put the 20% bonus on the frontline warrior. Just because of how well it scales. Get myself the purple healing staff so my healing is back in order. Do some recasting. Oh, I have enough to actually just upgrade to a purple shield. So my healing is officially back online. From here, the rest of the run should actually be pretty easy and straightforward. So, I mean, I get a purple weapon here, so it's a pretty easy choice. I'm just going to do the quick fight. Finish up the rest of this run. Show you guys the last little tidbits that really help make and break a run here. I think it's going to be very useful when we start getting into like the endless runs or even the nightmare runs. I'm going to go with the upgrade to get the blessing here. Guaranteed poisoning for bonus damage and extra health. I don't need the extra money off the shop, so I'm just going to buy some purples, get some last minute upgrades. See what I like for the best overall damage for my archer there. So that one actually gives more. And then I'm just going to do some smelting. This will let me get another orange bow. And then of course I get a drop of a purple bow. Alright, so this is the last boss of the run. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just show you exactly what you can do for upgrading some of your final stuff. Again, I made that mistake where it's actually a priest gear. It's 15 seconds to increase damage, so that was a huge upgrade overall. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 6 of these relics that I don't necessarily need for the final boss. The ice one, you can't freeze him. I'm going to gimp the DPS on my thief. So I'm going to smelt these to get the 6 orange material. And what is it going to let me do? I am going to then be able to upgrade that into the final stage of the crossbow, thus putting him at max damage. I'm going to move over the thief's helmet to him, and I'm going to move over those insanely good shoulder pads. So I basically sacrificed the one gear just to make the one super OP. And as you see by the end screen here, it definitely worked. The warrior still came out on top, but that archer definitely put in some work. As you see, I only really needed the 4 characters to beat that boss, but the rest helped with the synergies. I unlocked 2 new pieces of gear, and you can see the overall stats of my run. Alright, well I hope this was helpful. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Catch you next time. Later.